Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
It's not just the bullying, it is the sexual harassment, relentless, unacceptable, and rife throughout the armed forces. Nicola Williams, who's just become the new military ombudsman, says she's determined to root out this kind of behaviour, and she's promising to deal with the backlog of hundreds of serious complaints. In a moment, we'll be hearing from her. But first, our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, has been talking to Rebecca Cruikshank, who left the RAF after enduring shocking treatment for years, treatment she captured on film. And we should warn you, there are some images of a sexual nature in his report.
The names, the victims, the stories, time and again reminding the civilian world of the British service's long ingrained problems with beasting, bullying, harassment. At home in North London, and many years after leaving the RAF, it is true that Rebecca Cruikshank still has fond memories of life as an airwoman.
I had some very positive experiences of working with men, women, where we worked together to create a fantastic community.
But there was the dark side, and that began the second she landed at the remote Mount Alice base in the Falklands. Her and 28 men. Some of them were waiting for her with what they called the Alice Wave.
I was greeted by the Alice Wave, which was all the lads lined up on the helipad, mooning me in. I think you can see from the film that I would laugh at everything. That was my kind of coping mechanism.
And then came the first night initiation.
I was in the crew room, I was fully clothed, and they invited me in to kind of lather them with a fairy liquid type substance while they danced around me with wearing nothing but rubber gloves. And there's pictures of me kind of trying to laugh through that.
Rebecca Cruikshank asked us not to show the faces of the men who'd mistreated her. The first night was only the beginning.
As the lads would get more drunk at night, they'd be knocking on the door all the time. I'd lock myself in, and they'd be saying, "Please, just let me in, I just want to come in."
This is Beck's pussy.
This is Tigger.
When she simply wanted to play with the base's cat, there was physical and verbal harassment, all of it on camera.
No, I don't want to dance.
It's only a cat, woman.
Pussy. No, he's a pussy.
Can you just be nice? She pleads at one point. She made an official complaint. An investigating officer was flown in.
He asked to have a meeting with me in my bedroom, just him and I. And we had that meeting, and I asked him if he liked my Laura Ashley bed linen. And, you know, he was in my personal space. I thought it was very odd that we weren't having this meeting in the crew room. And I made a complaint, and it was very much like, do you realise what will happen if you take this further? You know, you want to have a career outside of the Royal Air Force. Well, you're not going to have a very good report leaving the island. So I was very afraid.
One more victim successfully intimidated and gagged.
You do not bring lads back into this block.
Rebecca Cruikshank now plays 9 characters in her one-woman play about the military, including the culture of bullying.
Nice and smooth, so you can get good, accurate rounds into it.
Halt! Cruikshank, do you want me to wipe that smile off your face?
I think we have to speak out, and I think we have to be brave together, men and women, because I know that there are things that happen to men as well that are under the radar, so to speak.
Year in, year out, the British forces say they take bullying seriously. The complaint system has been overhauled, they claim, and there's a new ombudsman to oversee it. Yet the cases keep on coming.
Well, earlier I spoke to Britain's first military ombudsman, Nicola Williams. She has the status of a 3-star general. She has the job of combating the bullying, harassment and code of silence that often dissuades service personnel from making complaints. You're being appointed as effectively a 3-star general.
Yes.
As the first ever military ombudsman.
Yes.
Has there been a revolution I haven't noticed?
Well, certainly this is an idea whose time has come. The services themselves had recognised that despite the very good work that was done by my predecessor in her role as a Service Complaints Commissioner, and I had a year as a Service Complaints Commissioner before I became the Ombudsman, there was a need for a greater change in the way that service complaints were dealt with.
Now, I mean, you know, because you've been preparing for this job, the scale of what confronts you. And,
yes.
I mean, for example, there are over 600 cases that have gone beyond the 24-week period that is supposed to be that in which it's resolved. I mean, you've got a lot of work on your hands.
Yes, we do, but we're more, when I say me, I and my staff, we're more than up for the challenge for that.
But that suggests that you've got resource, and much more resource than has ever existed before in terms of investigating what's happened.
Absolutely, and I do. I'm happy to say that the office, definitely we are resourced to do the work that we are mandated to do. We in particular have, with regards to investigators, and that is a sea change, I have my own team of investigators who are all highly trained and professionally qualified.
Now, I said you've had a career as a lawyer, and you've sat as a judge in this country. You've also been an ombudsperson in the Cayman Islands, and also been on the Independent Police Complaints Commission. But do you know what it's like to be bullied?
Personally, do I know what it's like to be bullied? I was bullied when I was at school a very long time ago, so I do know what that is like. And I know that if you are bullied, what you want is for someone to A, listen to you, and B, to actually take your complaint seriously. And I can certainly say to, but not only existing servicemen and women, that if they are bullied, that once they exhaust the internal process and they come to us, we will take their complaints seriously, as will the services. But also, I'm sure that within your audience, there are men and women who probably have children who want to join the services. They may have concerns about if my son or daughter joins, will they be bullied? And I would like to reassure them that should that happen, that we will deal with that very firmly. I do feel very passionate about this work. It is challenging, but I think challenge is a good thing. I personally thrive off challenge, and I am very confident that we can make a real difference.
Well, the armed forces thrive off challenge because you'll have to challenge them.
Not only will I have to, I absolutely will. And you can rest assured that should the time come when there is a total divergence of opinion, that I will challenge them and challenge them robustly. And as I've already said, there are instances when, if necessary, and if I feel it's appropriate, I can actually overturn decisions made by the Defence Council, and I would be prepared to do so.
Nicola Williams, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
I've been getting away with it all my